Looking at the title, it should come as no surprise that this is going to pertain to skeletal muscle, getting into a little bit more detail of the skeletal muscle and exactly what's going on here. Being able to recognize the microscopic view here, and keep in mind this is voluntary controlled, so we do have control over where it goes and what we do with it. So, skeletal muscle overview. Each muscle has a discrete organ composed of muscle tissue, blood vessels, nerve fibers, and connective tissue. Again, here's a little bit bigger image of the microscopic look. It does have neurons connecting it because we need a way for our brain to tell that muscle to contract. Because it is voluntary controlled, that is why we have the motor neuron. So the three connective tissue sheaths are the Endomysium, the Perimysium, and the Epimysium. Now these connective sheaths, just like our knife here, the sharp blade of the knife is stored in the sheath. That's a protective outer layer here. That same concept applies here. So our mesioms are skeletal muscle fibers, the black circle. The endomysium is the red circle here. Perimysium is the green. And the outer thick area here is called the epimysium. So that endomysium, you can see that pictured here in this model. Perimysium is the area, this sheath protective layer here, and the epimysium located right here. So looking at these in a little bit more detail, that endomysium is the fine sheath of connective tissue composed of reticular fibers surrounding each muscle fiber. Keep in mind, endo means in, and that is the innermost portion here. Perimysium are fibrous connective tissues that surround groups of muscle fibers called the fascicles. See that right here. There's our perimysium, and this is one zoomed in area here. This is the fascicle located right here. And then the overcoat here, the dense regular connective tissue that surrounds the entire muscle, is the epimysium. Think of that as like epidermis is the outermost covering. Now a little bit more detail. The epimysium allows the muscle to contract and move powerfully while maintaining its structural integrity. Again, this is the epimysium here. This epimysium also separates muscle fiber from other tissues, allowing the muscle to move independently. So keep in mind, these muscles need to move and contract, need to be separate from what's surrounding them within the body. And that epimysium helps provide that barrier. Going a little deeper here, a perimysium allows the nervous system to trigger a specific movement of a muscle. That's allowing that connection of that neuron to come in. And the innermost, the endomysium here, contains the extracellular fluid and nutrients to support the muscle fiber. As we'll learn that for these muscles to contract, a lot needs to go on, and this endomysium is providing that fluid and nutrients to help allow our muscle fibers to contract. These nutrients are supplied ultimately from the blood to the muscle tissue, and that's where nutrients are brought in and waste are brought out. Lastly here, our muscle fiber, produced by the fusion of several cells at their ends. This creates a very long muscle fiber that contains all the original nuclei. So keep in mind that we're having this linking of a bunch of these cells together, this multinucleated fiber essentially. These microfilaments are bunched together to create myofilaments, and that's what we're noticing here. Skeletal muscle, as a reminder, found in voluntary muscles, and they produce powerful voluntary contractions. This would be something that we're having control over and moving and able to have control over, which we'll notice will be different compared to the other two different types of muscles.